Hey, what's up YouTube, and welcome back to part 3 of our full stack application using Sveltekit and Firebase. We're using Firebase for auth and storage, and we are building a file browser with some folders. Allows you to upload and download and delete files, and I'll be showing what the final product looks like here in a second at the beginning of the video, but I just wanted to one, apologize that this video took a little longer than my last videos to get out. I mentioned in the last video that my wife and I were expecting, and my daughter has joined us, so I haven't had as much time to record content, but I have had plenty of time to work on my book on CSS, and there will be another video coming very shortly with some more details about that and how you can save money and get in early. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and jump into the video where we're going to be covering how to use Firebase Storage to upload and download files in our authenticated application. Alright, so if you've been following along, you probably have a page that looks like this running on localhost. Welcome to the file portal, and it's got this nice little header, a nav bar, but it doesn't really have any content. It's just the default Sveltekit content. And by comparison, here is the live version at nextgenfileexplorer.com. You have work files, client files, pictures, and miscellaneous files that you can upload that allow us to kind of dive into these directories. So we want to create this. So to get started, let's go back to our project, and under lib, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a, under lib components rather, I'm going to create a new folder called content. And this is mainly just going to be our file content. And I'm going to create 3 files in here. I'm going to create a file deck.svelte, which is our, this. This is our file deck. And then I'm going to create a file table .svelte, which is what's going to list out all our files in each of the directories. And then I'm going to create a upload row .svelte, which is going to be this row here that allows us to drop files for upload. First things first, let's go ahead and start on our file deck since that's our main component. We're going to open up a script tag, and we are going to import a bunch of stuff. We're going to import file table. We're going to import upload row. We're going to import get storage, ref, get metadata, and list all from Firebase Storage. And we are going to import our trusty dusty on mount from Svelte. That should be all the things that we need to import. So to get started, we're going to go ahead and just first we're going to put some markup on the page here. So we're going to need these imported items later, and we will write some JavaScript to access storage and modify storage in Firebase. But first, we need to actually create these folders. And to do that, I just went ahead and stole some boilerplate code from Bootstrap's documentation for an accordion menu. Now, we will modify this, but I'm just going to go ahead and copy all that in to our editor here. So let's go ahead and drop that in and save, and it's going to throw a bunch of errors because this is from the code that I've already written. And things like files don't exist yet, get file data doesn't exist yet, but that's okay because I'm just going to go ahead and quickly walk through this markup. So this is an accordion menu from Bootstrap 5. I typically don't use CSS frameworks, but for a quick project like this for YouTube, I decided to take that approach. It is quite a bit of code, but you can find the final source code in the GitHub repo that's in the description, or you can just go ahead and read it off here as I slowly walk through it. So we have a parent div with a class of accordion and accordion flush. And what accordion flush does is it brings all of your accordion items together, and then instead of adding a bunch of spacing in between them. And then we essentially just have repeated accordion items throughout, and then we do some, we're going to go ahead and set this up, but we're going to go ahead and do some checking. So we have our upload row here, which we're going to create. We have our, what we do is we check if file length is greater than 0. Then we create our file table, and we feed it some data for files, and we feed it a function in our function prop here for get file data, and I'll explain why we do that later. But if we save this and go back to our local host and refresh, what is happening? Oh, of course, we have to import file deck in our index.svelte. So if we go to routes, index.svelte, we're going to get rid of this stuff, and we're going to do a script tag, and we're going to say import file deck from, and actually I'm going to camel case this, or rather capital case this, from lib/components/content/file deck.svelte. And then down here, we simply create file deck. And now if we save this, it's going to throw an error because it couldn't import this because I have one extra slash. There we go. Okay. And then it's going to throw errors because, like I said, files is not defined. So let's go ahead and define files, and then we can go ahead and take a look at, or let's go ahead and write all our JavaScript for file deck, just so that we can go ahead and get this working and take a look at what it looks like. So in file deck, we are going to go below our imports here, and we're going to start with a constant called storage, and we're going to use get storage, and that's from Firebase. And then we're going to have a constant called refs, and this is just an array I created with the name of my folders, and then I cycle through this array to get each of my references for my storage buckets in Firebase, and I'll show that in action in a second. Now, these may be different if you want different folders, or you may want to find a way to dynamically create and delete folders. Here I have static folders set just for the purposes of this video. So we're going to create a reactive. So this is a feature of Svelte. This $: allows us to create a reactive variable, so it will react to change, called files, and it's an object, and work will be empty. Clients will also be an empty array. So these are all the files for each of our folders. Pictures will be an empty array, not brackets. Oh my gosh, I can't type today, sorry. And miscellaneous will be an empty array. All right, so what we've done is we've created an array for our references, for our storage buckets, and then an object with a bunch of empty arrays for the different files for our folders. And then we're going to create a function called getFileData, and it isn't going to take any arguments. And all that is going to do is it's going to rewrite files to be, again, the same exact thing. So The reason we do this is to clear out existing files, and that's because get file data reruns every time we upload a file, so what it's doing is it's clearing out this files variable, and it is resetting it and then rebuilding our file arrays, so that every time we upload a file, we are actually re-rendering our files in our file table, which means that you get live reload of the file table when you upload. Otherwise, you would have to upload, you wouldn't see anything, and then you would refresh and you see your files. So we're going to write a little more JavaScript here. So constant user equals local storage. So remember from our auth video, which if you haven't watched that, that'll be linked. Those are parts 1 and 2. In our auth video, we stored our user ID in local storage, so we'll do get item UID, and then we are going to run for each on refs, which we set up here. Folder, so for each folder, then an arrow function, let reference equal ref from Firebase, ref storage, which is our get storage up here. And then we're going to interpolate a string, so use backticks, $, open bracket, close bracket, user / folder. So what this allows us to do is it allows us to, when we store files, we store them in a folder for that user's ID, and then that respective folder, whether it be work, clients, pictures, or miscellaneous. And what this allows us to do is it allows us to ensure that only users, the current user only has access to their own files in their own directory. And then we'll do list all reference, which is a utility from Firebase, which allows us to list all the references in that particular reference, or sub-references within that particular reference. .then, because it's a promise. Result, arrow function, get metadata, which is another utility from Firebase. Item reference, .then, metadata, I don't know why I camel case that. Metadata doesn't need to be camel cased as far as I'm concerned. Arrow function, files, folder. Okay, so let me break this down. So we're going into the array files at the location of a particular folder, and then we're assigning that, and we're using the spread operator. I don't know why I typed spread. The spread operator, files, folder, so what's currently already in there, and we're adding metadata. So what that allows us to do is it allows us to populate each of these arrays with each folder from the metadata, and like that, from get metadata, from all the references that we list from Firebase, and yeah, so that's get file data. And then finally, we're going to wrap up by saying on mount. So we're using the on mount life cycle function from from Svelte. Lifestyle. Oh gosh. Let user equal blank and get file data. So we're going to call that get file data on mount so that it initially populates our files. All right. So all our JavaScript is written. We can save, we can go back, and if we refresh, we see we have work files, client files, pictures, miscellaneous files, but you may be noticing this isn't doing anything. And over here, it does do something. So let's find out why it's not doing anything. And it might be because I don't have bootstrap loaded correctly in this project. 1 second, I'm gonna look and find out. Okay, sorry. Yes, it was because I didn't have bootstrap properly loaded in my head. So make sure here in your app.html, in your head element, you have the correct bootstrap. And I use the CDN here, but if you want to pull it down as an npm package or locally, that works too. All right, sorry about that. So let's get back to this. So we can see now we have expanding accordions, and they kind of collapse the other accordions. However, I didn't like, so if we take a look here, I don't mind the blue, but I hated this highlighted border. So let's just write some CSS to override that. So down here in style, in a style tag, we are going to go ahead and override that highlight by targeting the accordion button focus pseudo selector and setting it to box shadow none and border color. I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this. I added a border color for focus. So now if we go back, you can see we got rid of that ugly highlight. All right, but we're missing our upload row. So let's go ahead and work on our upload row. So if we go to upload row, we are going to use drop zone, which is a JavaScript library that gives us that really nice looking kind of upload functionality, that upload bar, if you will, which you can click on it to browse local files. You can drag and drop. I really like it. I know how to build it from scratch, but in this case, I just decided to use drop zone. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and stop our project, and we'll do npm install drop zone. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and run the server again. And here in our upload row, we're going to open up with a script, just like most of our other Svelte components. And we're going to import drop zone from drop zone. And you're going to get this little error right here. Because it's saying that it can't find a declaration file for the drop zone module. It still works. You can just ignore that. Import, we're going to use on mount from Svelte. I can spell Svelte. And then finally, we're going to import get storage, because this is our upload functionality, so we are going to be needing some storage functionality from Firebase. So we'll do Firebase/storage. All right, and then we'll declare a constant called storage, just like we did before. Get storage. And the upload row is going to have some props, which allows us to repeat that upload row over and over again and kind of delineate what the actual upload location for each of those individual rows will be. So we'll do export let folder. And you can see this already in action if we go back to file deck. You can see upload row folder is miscellaneous, and then it actually, this is where we pass in that function prop. So export let function prop, and we're actually going to set this to a blank arrow function off the bat, or else it's, oh, why did I put that? Colon, semicolon. Or else it's not going to work. And these warnings are just that these props aren't being used. So let's change that. On mount, we're going to pass in a blank arrow function. We're going to set up a constant for user ID, which again, we're going to pull from local storage, get item UID. And then we're going to set up a constant for a path, not pathy, path. And it's going to be the same one as before. So we'll use interpolation, $ brackets, and we'll do user ID and then slash. There it goes. Wasn't updating my syntax highlighter. Slash folder. All right, so that's going to be the path. And here's the drop zone boilerplate. So we'll do let my drop zone, and I think I pulled this directly out of the drop zone documentation. We'll do new drop zone. And this is actually going to be backticks again. My form is the ID dash and then folder, because each of these IDs are going to have a particular folder appended. So we'll do my drop zone dot options. So this is where we can set our options, and we'll do disable previews. I think this is what I wanted. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of desperately trying to get drop zone to work in Svelte, and I just went ahead and went with this. By default, drop zone creates these really like bad looking for our purposes, kind of like file previews when you upload a file, so that you can kind of queue file uploads, and we don't want that. So we'll also do my drop zone dot on, and this is an event listener, so we'll do added file, and we'll call this upload arrow function let storage ref. So we're setting up a storage reference here from Firebase. So ref, pass in our storage, and then our path, and then upload dot name. And then we'll do upload bytes, storage ref, upload dot then. That returns the snapshot, which actually this has to be in parentheses. Snapshot, arrow function, sorry, that's not a proper arrow function. There we go. Okay. Console.log, so this is just what we're doing after the upload. Uploaded a blob or file. And then we're going to run function prop, which will, remember, that's going to re-render our file table so that we don't have to refresh to see our uploads. And that's it for the JavaScript. For the actual markup itself, it's very simple, and that is because of drop zone. Form action, we're going to leave this as target because we don't want a action necessarily. Class of drop zone. Oh my gosh. ID equals my form dash folder. And close that. And then we're going to add a little bit of styling to our drop zone. So we'll do dot drop zone border to px dashed black, because I think a dashed line around a file upload is kind of intuitive. All right, so let's go back, and we can see we can drag and drop in files, but we're not going to see them without our file table. So let's wrap up with our file table. All right, so in file table, we're going to start with a script tag once again. And we're going to import a bunch of stuff. We're going to import get storage, ref, get download URL, delete object, all from Firebase Storage. And then we're going to create a function. And I don't remember where I stole this from. Somewhere on Stack Overflow, I want to say. So you could probably Google it and find this solution. So props to whoever wrote this. But this is just a function that allows us to convert bytes to a file size so that we can display it in our table. So we'll do const sizes, so constant. And this is an array of different sizes that are available to us. So we can do bytes, we can do kilobytes, we can do megabytes, we can do gigabytes, and we can do terabytes. If bytes equals 0. So again, I didn't write this. This seems pretty straightforward though. If our bytes are 0, return NA, which is nice. Have a little error handling. Constant I equals parse int math.floor math.log bytes divided by math.log 1024, not 10254, that would be a disaster. And then 10. That's math. That's just a bunch of math this person wrote to figure out file size from bytes. I'm not going to explain it. If I equals 0, some more error handling, return an interpolated string bytes sizes I. Yep. There's an extra parentheses in my original source. Return an interpolated string. So that's if I isn't 0. Return bytes. Oh no, sorry, this has to be in parentheses. Bytes divided by 1024 times I dot to fixed. So decimal place of 1. Close our interpolation, and then, or close our bracket and sizes I. Okay. So that's bytes to size. It's just converting our bytes to a file size. So let's actually start writing the logic to pull down all our files. So we're going to start with get storage again. Get storage. We're going to have a function called download file, and we'll do folder and name as parameters. We're going to set a constant of UID, and again, we're going to pull that out of local storage. We're going to set a path once again. I'm just going to copy and paste this to save time typing because you have seen me do this twice now. And then we're going to do get download URL. We're going to pass in a reference. Oh no, sorry. We're going to pass in ref storage path. So that's going to get us the download URL of each file, and then we're going to pass in an arrow function with URL, which is the result of that. Constant link equals document.create element A. So we're creating a anchor element, link.href equals URL, and link.click. Okay, why did we do link.click? That is an excellent question. It is because we are not actually creating anchor tags and appending them to the document. This is a hacky way to, on button press, run download file, which gets the download URL, which clicks on the link and opens our downloaded file in a new tab, or if it can't preview it on web, downloads it to your machine. So that's why we do that. And then we'll do a .catch for some error handling. Pass in error, and then an arrow function. Console.error. Error. Okay. So that's download. One function down, one to go. All right, so we're going to do delete file as well. So we'll do delete file. And again, this is going to be super similar, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste download file, and we'll modify it. Because it has to do the same thing. It has to take in a ref, get a UID path. We probably can make these UID and paths like global variables to save code, but that's not necessarily the best way to do it. So we're gonna go ahead and leave our error handling, and we'll just change this right here to and actually I did write this one a little differently. So I set up file reference first, which we could have done in downloads. So we'll do storage and path. And then I did also add a confirmation here because it's deleterious. So we'll do window.confirm permanently. Can I spell? Delete this file. This action cannot be undone. So that'll have them confirm. And then we'll do delete object. We'll pass in our file reference from above. We'll do .then, pass in a blank arrow function, and we're just going to run function prop. So we are going to be taking advantage of function prop again to regenerate our file table. So here are our props. So we'll do data, folder, and function prop. And remember, function prop has to be initialized as a blank function. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and just copy in this table. It's mostly being styled by Bootstrap by default, but I'll walk through it. So we have a table with headers, 25% split 4 ways, file name, uploaded, file size, and action. For each piece of data, we're going to pull out name, time created, and size, and then we're going to do the name as a table header, a time created with a substring so that it is strictly just the date as a table delimiter. So we use table header for the bold here. And then bytes to size, and then we pass in size to get our file size. And then we have some actions that are button primary and button danger. Download, which fires off download file, and we use our svelte on click syntax here, and then the danger is delete file, and again we're using that button, or we're using that event handling from Svelte. So we can save this, and that's our file table. Now that's our application really, but I want to walk through what we're doing in File Deck because I just kind of dumped a lot on you guys. So in File Deck, let's walk through one example here, and let me go ahead and just pull down my terminal here so that you can see a little better. So for each accordion item, we give it a name, and then in the accordion body we have our upload row, and then if files.work.length, so if these is greater than 0, we generate our file table, and in file table we pass in data, which are all the files in work, our function prop, which allows us to re-render our table every time we upload a file or delete a file, and that's it. That allows us to have our application working. So now if I refresh this and I go to work files, I can click on this and go to documents, and I don't know, Avengers tickets, and it should be uploading, but it throws an error. So, oh, not view page source. Let's see what's going on. Ah, I know why. Make sure, so let's go to Firebase. And I'm just gonna go ahead and switch accounts here to the correct account. Go to my console. We have our one app here. Let's go ahead and go to storage. And we need to get started. And I'm gonna start in production mode, or actually, I'm gonna start in test mode. If you're doing this locally, start in test mode. It allows you to write regardless of your security settings, and then later you should switch to production mode. I'm not gonna cover security rules in Firebase in this video, but I will cover them in a future video. And there's great videos already on YouTube. We don't need Central, we need US East, because I'm on the East Coast. So it is creating our default bucket, it's setting up security rules. Just give this a moment. All right, now if we go back to localhost and refresh, and we go to upload Avengers tickets, it should work, but it's throwing an error. Item ref is not defined. All right, let's see what our error is, because I don't want to leave you guys with an error. So in File Deck, let's make sure I didn't spell something wrong. Item reference. What am I missing? Let me make sure that I did this correctly. Oh, I did do this wrong. All right, let's make sure that let me just go ahead and copy this in. Okay, this would have been bad. All right, so we're gonna do list all reference, then our response for each item ref. There we go. Let's save that. Go back here, refresh, work files, and you can see our Avengers tickets are there. We can delete them, and they're gone, because it re-renders by running that function prop. And that's it. That is our File Explorer. I know this one was a little longer, and I had to pause a couple times to take a look at some errors because I went through it as quickly as I could. But let me know if you have any questions further, or you would have done this any differently. And I hope that you learned a little bit about using Firebase Storage in your Sveltekit applications. Until next time, thanks for watching. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. I actually am going to do an outro on this one, which I normally don't do, but as I mentioned, my life is changing. My second child was just born. My daughter is amazing. She is just the light of our lives, and our son has taken to her just so well. But obviously, we're pretty tired, and we have a lot going on. I have some family in town right now watching my daughter, which is why I could record this video. But a lot of the time I get at the computer, I have an infant sleeping right next to me, and I'm just making sure that she is happy and content while my wife gets some rest. So obviously, that keeps me from being able to narrate into the mic. And so with that being said, I have some really cool videos planned. I got a great response on Reddit to my Halo 3 on the web menu. So I'm going to be doing some things like creating the Xbox Blades menu on the web as a fun CSS challenge, creating the Halo Reach menu on the web as a fun CSS challenge, and basically doing a lot of those CSS challenges because one, I love writing CSS and I love nostalgia, and I love making game UI, as you probably know from my Halo 3 Sveltekit video, which should be linked above. But two, it allows me to flex those CSS muscles as I continue to write my book on CSS. With that being said, I'm not going to narrate those videos because my daughter will be sleeping right next to me, or hopefully sleeping right next to me, but I will put the mic closer to my keyboard and do maybe more of like an ASMR style programming video, so that you can still see the process of me building stuff. There'll be both of those videos, maybe not Blades, but probably the Halo Reach menu will be kind of unfiltered. You'll see me make mistakes, you'll see my process, but anyway, I just wanted to let you all know that those videos are coming. But as far as narrated instructional videos, it's probably going to be like another month before I can get back to those, but I am still going to be putting out content, and I'm going to try and record a quick video when my book becomes available. Anyway, if you've stuck around this long, thank you so much. I know this is a long video, and again, thank you so much for the support. If you're not subscribed and you're interested in this kind of content, the support from you guys has been just like completely humbling. We're almost at 80 subscribers in like a month, which is crazy to me. So thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, cheers.